Hello everyone, I am your educator Priyanka. My qualification is MSc Botany, B.Ed and CSIR NET. Here we are discussing pollination. In my previous video, I have discussed about abiotic method of pollination. Today I am going to discuss biotic method of pollination. But before discussing the topic, I want to tell you that after I will complete this topic pollination, then I will revise this concept or topic with the help of MCQ. And by doing this, you will practice your concept very clearly and it will remain in your mind for your exams and your revision. So, let's get start our today's topic, that is method of pollination biotic. See, mechanism of bringing male and female gamete together, it is called as pollination. Can you remember where male gamete is formed and where female gamete is formed? If you cannot remember, you can go to my channel and see those videos. I have uploaded the formation of male and female gamete on my channel. Two types, method of pollination is two types, abiotic, which I have discussed in my previous video, and today biotic. What is biotic method of pollination? Involvement of animals like insects, bees, butterflies, birds and mammals. It is most common method of pollination. In 80% of angiosperms of flowering plants, they use biotic method of pollination. Why? Because abiotic method of pollination is not very sure. It can happen, or if the wind is not blowing or water current is not flowing in particular direction, maybe they cannot bring out pollination. That is not very sure. That's why most of the plants use biotic method of pollination, because the pollination is going to more frequent, or their chances of happening is more prominent, so they use biotic method of pollination. What is entomophily? Entomophily means these plants use insects for pollination. Some plants use insects for their pollination, and it is of many kinds. Most important kinds are zoophily. Zoo means zoology. Zoology is coming from zoo. Zoo means animals. These plants have pollinators like birds and bats. Particularly birds pollinated plants are called as ornithophily. Phily means to love, ornitho means bird. Those plants which love birds as their pollinators, that plants will called as ornithophilic plants. And chiropterophily. Chiro means bats. Those plants which use bats for their pollination. So remember these terms: entomophily, entomo means insect, zoo means animals, ornitho means bird, and chiro means bats. See, here I am going to show you the picture of bat which is sucking the nectar or pollen from a flower. You can see it very clearly here how it is going to pollinate this flower. Plants adapted to use bats or moths as pollinators typically have white petals, strong scent and flower at night. You know, bats are very active in the night. So they use those flowers for pollination, that flowers in night, like night blooming flowers, ratrani, you have heard of that flower. These plants have very strong scents and white flowers. They don't have colorful petals, they have white petals. You can see it in this picture also. Bees are dominant pollinators among insects. Among all the insects or entomophilic plants, bees are the dominant. They used to do most of the pollinating works. Bees, flies, butterflies, wasps, ants, moths, birds, In birds, sunbirds and hummingbirds are very important, and bats are the common pollinating agents. Often flowers of animal pollinated plants are specifically adapted for a particular species of animals. In, in the entomophilic plants or insect pollinated plants, flowers have different shape and size, and by their shape and size they are adapted for a particular species of an insect or bird. You can see here in this hummingbird, it's a bell shaped flower. It is adapted for this bird. This bird have very long and very fine needle like beak. So this flower and this bird is adapted. This bird cannot pollinate other flowers. It is adapted for these kind bell shaped long flowers. You can see in bee pollinated flowers. You see the bee pollinated flowers are saucer shape or open plate like shape. Bees cannot pollinate the bell shaped flower. So flowers are adapted for specific birds or bees or insects. In the butterflies have needle like uh, nectar sucking apparatus, so they can pollinate the small flowers, very small flowers. You can see here all the flowers are adapted for particular type of insect. So any insect cannot pollinate any flower. They are adapted for each other and they are particular for each other. Often flowers of animal pollinated plants are specifically adapted for a particular species of animals. You can see in this picture, it is very clear here, and it is often asked in exams like sunbirds or hummingbirds can pollinate the flower which are saucer shape, which are white petal, which are bell shape. So you have to answer the question. They can pollinate the flowers which are bell shape. So keep it in mind. This is very important point. Flowers are large, colorful, fragrant and rich in nectar. Why animals will go to the flower? They should have something in their return, so they can do the pollination. They get nectar from the flower or pollen. They use pollen for their food also. So they get attracted or go to the flower by the help of color of flower, scent of flower, nectar and pollen grains, and in return they pollinate the flower. If flowers are small, they are clustered into an inflorescence to make them prominent or showy. Some flowers are very small, so many flowers aggregate at one place and form a big cluster or inflorescence. You have seen in many plants there are going to be the bunch of flowers at one place where flowers are very small. So they can show them from very far. If any insect is coming, they can show them, they can see them and come towards them. That's why they are showy. They make themselves showy. Animals attract towards flowers for color, nectar and fragrance. The flowers pollinated by bees and flies secrete foul odor to attract these animals. Those flowers which are pollinated by bees, wasps and moth often produce foul odor. Foul means bad odor. Bees are attracted by bad odor. They often have foul odor. Some primates, for example lemurs, tree-dwelling rodents means mouse-like animals. They are called as rodents. Gecko lizards and garden lizards are also pollinators. Some animals, some mammals are also pollinators. Often they are not prominent or most important, but they can contribute in some amount of pollination. Here you can see a mouse, and in the lower picture you can see the gecko, lizard or lizard. They also pollinate some flowers. Pollination by rodents, shrews, and marsupials is called as therophily. This kind of pollination have a distinct term that is called as therophily. This is very important. Reptile pollination is most frequent on islands, for example, euphorbia and geckos. Some islands use reptiles as their important pollinators. Examples of mammal pollinators are elephant shrews and rodents like Cape spiny mouse. These are examples. If it is somewhere given that which rodent is used as pollinator, that you can tell Cape spiny mouse, or which mammal can use as pollinator, elephant shrews. Rewards are nectar and pollen grains which are sticky in animal pollinated flowers. And what they get in return, what these animals get in return on for the work of pollination, they get nectar and pollen grains. Pollen grains have proteins. Some animals use the protein for their food. In some species, floral reward is providing safe place for laying eggs. Some insects go to some flowers for laying their eggs, and so there it can be safe from other animals. For example, a flower which is very tall, that is Amorphallus. It is tallest flower, 6 feet tall. Here you can see the tallest flower, lily. This is a kind of lily. Some species of plants lay their egg inside this flower, so other insects or animals cannot eat their eggs and they will be safe. There is another plant, that is yucca plant, and it is very famous. Why it is famous? A species of moth and yucca plant are very codependent on each other. The moth lays their egg inside the flower, inside the ovary of the yucca flower, and in turn pollinate the yucca flower. When it goes to other flower, it can take the pollen grain from one yucca flower to other and pollinate the flower. But what moth gets in return? Moth lays their egg inside the ovary, and when seed will be formed and this seed will grow, germinate, their larvae, their eggs will grow inside that seed, and when then this seed will germinate, they come inside, they come outside from the seed and they will develop as a moth. Sorry. So this moth and yucca are codependent, and this process is called as coevolution. If this species of moth is not found or become extinct, then yucca flower may also become extinct. They are very dependent on each other. This is the very peculiar example in nature where pollinator and plant is so much dependent on each other. So this is for the today's topic. I will discuss the remaining part of pollination, that is self pollination and cross pollination, in my next video, and with some very important MCQ I will revise this topic. Till then, thank you and bye.